Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, we just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you all for watching. We truly appreciate your support. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. It's totally free, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest stories. Now, with all that said, let's jump straight into the story.
My apartment was a curated chaos of vintage finds. A mid-century modern armchair sat beneath a macabre Victorian painting, and stacks of old books lined the walls, their spines whispering forgotten stories. I ran a blog called Dust and Echoes, documenting my obsession with the past, and my followers ate it up. So, when I stumbled upon a box of porcelain dolls at a local flea market, their chipped paint and vacant stares practically beckoned me. Langford Collection, the seller, a woman with wary eyes, muttered as I approached. Estate sale leftovers. Nobody wanted them. The dolls were undeniably creepy. Their painted smiles seemed strained, their glass eyes unsettlingly lifelike. Still, there was a strange allure. I picked out three: a rosy-cheeked girl in a tattered pinafore, a stern-faced man in a miniature suit, and one that sent a shiver down my spine, Evelyn Gray. Evelyn Gray was different. Her porcelain face was cracked like shattered ice, and her green eyes held a disturbing intensity. She wore a faded velvet dress, its once vibrant color dulled by time and neglect. I haggled the woman down to a ridiculous price and lugged my new acquisitions home, completely ignorant of the nightmare I was inviting into my life. I meticulously cleaned the dolls, photographing them for my blog. The comments started innocently enough, praising their craftsmanship. But then came the warnings, cryptic and chilling. Get rid of them. Those dolls are trouble. Before it's too late. I brushed them off as internet trolls, the price of online exposure. But then the strange thing started happening. It began subtly. A faint whisper in the dead of night, like a music box playing a broken melody. Footsteps echoing in the hallway when I was alone. I chalked it up to the building's old pipes and my overactive imagination. Then I started finding the dolls in different positions. The rosy-cheeked girl would be turned to face the wall, the stern-faced man would be sitting on the edge of my bookcase. I'd swear I left them posed differently. One evening I was editing photos and my camera started glitching whenever it focused on Evelyn Gray. The screen would flicker, showing distorted images, faces screaming in silent terror. My usually fearless cat, Pippin, would hiss and arch his back whenever he was near them. The lights flickered constantly when I was near them. My apartment, once a sanctuary of vintage charm, became a breeding ground for unease. Driven by a morbid curiosity, I started researching the Langford collection. Mrs. Eleanor Langford had been a reclusive antique collector, known for her obsession with porcelain dolls. Rumors swirled around her mansion, tales of strange noises and eerie occurrences. After her death, the house was emptied, and the dolls were auctioned off. The deeper I dug, the more disturbing the story became. Mrs. Langford, it was said, believed the dolls were vessels for lost souls. Each doll was acquired from tragic circumstances: orphanages ravaged by disease, crime scenes stained with blood, funerals marking untimely deaths. Evelyn Gray, I discovered, was the final doll added to the collection. Mrs. Langford never spoke of her, keeping her locked away in a glass case in her study. A former maid, interviewed for a local historical society, recalled hearing Mrs. Langford talking to the dolls, her voice a hushed murmur. She also claimed to have heard them whisper back. The stories were insane, yet the more I learned, the more I started to believe them. My nightmares escalated, filled with images of children crying and screaming, their faces reflected in the glassy eyes of the dolls. I would wake up in a cold sweat, the whispers echoing in my ears. One night, I woke to find myself surrounded. The dolls were arranged in a perfect circle around my bed. The rosy-cheeked girl, the stern-faced man, and there in the center was Evelyn Gray. In her porcelain hand, she held a tarnished silver locket, its clasp open, revealing a space for a missing photograph. Panic seized me. I tried to scream, but my voice was caught in my throat. I lunged for Evelyn Gray, knocking the locket from her hand. As I did, the air in the room grew cold, and a chorus of whispers filled my ears, each voice laced with anger and despair. I had to get rid of them. My first attempt was burning. I built a bonfire in my backyard, fueled by old newspapers and broken furniture. I threw the dolls into the flames, watching with a twisted sense of satisfaction as their painted faces melted and their porcelain bodies cracked. Yet the next morning they were back on my shelf, soot-stained and smelling of smoke, but undeniably present. Next I tried burying them. I drove out to a secluded forest, dug a deep hole and buried the dolls, covering them with earth and rocks. I even poured holy water over the grave, hoping to ward off whatever evil they possessed. But the following day they were back. Desperate, I drove to the nearest bridge and threw the dolls into the murky river below. I watched them sink, their painted faces disappearing beneath the surface. For a brief moment I felt a sense of relief. It was short-lived. That night I found them dripping wet sitting on my couch. I was running out of options and sanity. Then one day while examining Evelyn Gray I noticed something odd. The velvet dress felt stiff, unnatural. I carefully peeled back the fabric, revealing a hidden pocket. Inside I found a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. It was a letter written in Mrs. Langford's elegant script. A confession. In it, she wrote of her belief that the dolls contained the spirits of murdered children, their souls trapped within the porcelain shells. She claimed that Evelyn Gray was their warden, the key to keeping them contained. Mrs. Langford believed that if Evelyn Gray was destroyed, the spirits would be freed, but not to rest. They would be enraged, seeking vengeance on whoever dared to unleash them. The locket, she wrote, belonged to Evelyn Gray when she was alive. It needed a photograph of Evelyn Gray. I now had a choice. Leave Evelyn Gray be and live with the constant fear, or destroy her and risk unleashing the wrath of vengeful spirits. Neither option was appealing. Driven by a desperate need for answers, I contacted a local paranormal investigator, a woman named Sarah Jane who claimed to be a medium. I explained my situation, the dolls, the letter, everything. She agreed to help, but warned me that the ritual would be dangerous. We met in my apartment, the dolls arranged on my coffee table. Sarah Jane lit candles, chanted in Latin, and sprinkled salt around the room. As she spoke, the temperature dropped and the whispers intensified. The dolls began to shake, their eyes gleaming with malevolent energy. Suddenly Sarah Jane stopped chanting. Her eyes widened in terror. "It's too strong," she gasped. "I can't fucking control it." Then the lights went out. When the power returned, Sarah Jane was gone, vanished without a trace. The dolls were gone too. My apartment was silent, eerily so. The air hung heavy with a sense of dread, a feeling that something terrible was about to happen. I never saw Sarah Jane again. I never saw the dolls again. Days turned into weeks, then months. I moved out of my apartment, abandoning my beloved vintage collection. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that the spirits of the dolls were still out there, waiting. I disappeared, just like the others who had gotten too close to the Langford collection. Some say I ran away, consumed by madness. Others claim I was taken by the dolls themselves, dragged into the darkness that lurked within their porcelain shells. The truth? I don't know. All I know is that I unleashed something terrible, something that should have remained locked away. Years later, a young woman named Emily browsed the aisles of a dusty thrift store. Her eyes landed on a box of porcelain dolls, their chipped paint and vacant stares strangely captivating. "Langford collection," the store clerk mumbled, wiping dust from the box. "Just came in. We can't seem to sell them." Emily picked up the same 3 dolls as I did. She liked the one with a cracked porcelain face and glassy green eyes the best. There was something about her that resonated. She paid for the dolls and tucked them into her bag, unaware of the chilling mystery she was about to bring into her home. Let us know in the comments section what you would have done to get rid of those dolls.
Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare.